Hello, good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to this session about SAFe and SAFe framework. My name is Michal Valo. I am the founder of Aguara.
Hello, I am Attila Ferik. I'm from Hungary. I'm leading software engineering and data science activities for GE Healthcare in Budapest. We have about 450 engineers working on product development and data science activities, mostly in the field of image processing.
I'm Jan Maštalíř, and I'm CTO in a company called 2N. And we are on the market for something like 29 years already. And we have been a lot in telecommunication business. We are actually a developer and manufacturer of telecommunication devices. And now in last 10 years, we focus mainly on door intercoms and communication devices, access control devices. And I have in team about 130 engineers today.
I'm Luca Minudel. I'm a Lean and Agile coach. I'm working with Agile since the end of 2001. So basically since the beginning of the Agile movement. I work with a lot of different organizations, small and big ones, such as banks. And two that I like to mention are Ferrari Formula One Racing, a very agile environment by nature, and ThoughtWorks, one of the companies that pioneered Agile.
Tonight we are sitting here to discuss the SAFe framework, and especially we would like to learn what are the motivation of organizations to use the SAFe framework and what they are expecting. So I have the very first question. What was the main reason for your company to consider adopting the agile way of working?
I think that for GE, especially GE and then especially GE Healthcare, we had multiple reasons. We had reasons bottom up. So engineers really knew about Agile, wanted to use it because this is new. This gives us the promise of a little bit of a freedom, a little bit of a self governance. However, for GE Healthcare, I believe that we had to answer to the needs of our customers because our customers already heard about Agile. They know that GE and GE Healthcare is developing software. And in around 2014, GE claimed or started to build itself an image as a digital company. We even created a digital business within the company. And then being digital, being able to develop software and software-only solutions, we thought that we need to start developing software in an agile fashion. And then I think that all these three different drivers led us to start looking to different agile principles and ways to implement agile.
Who founded the company 29 years ago, they had the vision to build something what they called niche market company. It actually means that because we were small, we tried to always find some space on the market, some niche, and develop a product for that small market. The advantage was that we could have quite good margin, but the disadvantage was that we had to modify the products almost for every new customer. So from the software development point of view, it was almost impossible to make some long-term plan because with every new acquired customer, we need to change the plan. So that actually was the driver for adopting some agile methodologies for our software development, and we started with Scrum.
My experience with Agile started some 12 years ago when I was managing the small software house. And in small software house, there is not many resources. So we had a lot of people and we didn't have any expertise how to build the software and how to deliver on predictable manner. And my job as a newly acquired manager of the organization was to professionalize the organization as such. And we started with building the Agile culture rather than the processes. What options Agile framework have been explored and considered and why? What is the current preferred option? Can you elaborate on this?
For us, we still say that we are using SAFe, but our organization in the last 5 years went through a very nice learning curve. And then we basically kept the high-level processes related to, how we share information among teams, how we share information with the management. So we are using, common tools, common dashboards, common practices for planning activities like release train, etc. But I believe that if we would stuck on the implemented model of Scaled Agile framework, then we would lose the agility of the organization, and we would lose the continuous improvement of the agility. So on the lower level, depending on products, program, even Scrum team level, we give much more freedom to the teams to decide how can they improve their processes.
We have never adopted some framework or some methodology completely. We always try to pick some tools or the way of working from different methodologies. So we use a Scrum, something kind of Scrum. We actually working really accordingly to Scrum in many teams. But when we were thinking about SAFe, the first thing we really didn't like was the naming conventions and all the names like release train and release train engineer and this kind of stuff. So actually we decided not to use it, and actually we decided not to call it SAFe at all. So we tried to develop some scaled software development process, which is really based on a SAFe.
For us, it was very much important, this culture aspect that we achieved in about 2 years, that engineering received full accountability for complete delivery end-to-end to the customer. And it was, for us, very big advantage and achievement of using the agility. It went to the level when we do not spoken only about delivery of software pieces, but also to understand how to run organization, how the delivery impact the other stakeholders in the organization. And there was practically everyone in the company was looking for possibilities how to improve the organization itself, how to improve processes, how to improve relations with the customer, and how to collaborate better.
I would like to ask a couple of questions. So my current understanding is that both of you have adopted the SAFe and not by the book, how Scale Agile Inc. Requires, but you use SAFe as an inspiration. Adopting SAFe is expensive and time-consuming. SAFe is updated more or less every 1-2 years, and new practices that has been well established in the Lean Agile community in the previous 1, 2, 3 years may be added to SAFe. But what it means is that in SAFe you will always find the practices that are 1, 2, 3 years old. And on top of that, the SAFe selects only few practices. So it's not sure that what you find in SAFe is the first choice, the best choice for your specific company. So my first question is, why haven't you considered to go directly to the Lean and Agile community to get those ideas, or to use the literature, the Lean Agile literature that is available?
In our case, in 2014, we needed a complete structure that we can introduce. We hired, or actually, yes, we hired, so GE hired as an employee a set of Agile coaches who flew around the globe, trained us to Agile, trained us to SAFe, because it was complete. It is good for a company who has development processes for 40 years without change. It was much easier to use SAFe. On the other hand, we kind of extended it only at that time. We didn't change much. We extended it with regulatory related features and functionalities. And then over time, as we get more mature in Agile thinking and Agile program management, we started to change those practices to be, let's say, more agile than what SAFe is providing. And at that time, when we started to do that, we obviously read those articles, went to the community of Agile practitioners, and started to look into practices that we can introduce or change compared to the current processes and tools we use.
Our company, we didn't implement it as SAFe by book, just because when we started to think about scaling the teams, my feeling was that we are not big enough to be able to afford it. So we didn't have a dedicated project managers, we call it, or release train engineers. So we didn't have dedicated analytics system architects, and even the teams were very small at the beginning when we started to think about it. But what we need to do, we had to prepare for the growth. And so I was looking for a way how to grow and how to scale the software development in those 5 software programs. And something like SAFe was look very promising, and actually I think it's very good.
My next question is a provocation, or I'm curious to hear your thought about this. When we look at the statistic, the most successful Agile adoption doesn't come from adopting a specific framework, but usually come from companies that mix and match practices from different frameworks, following Lean and Agile principles, and experimenting, learning, and adapting. Are you not worried that the option that you choose is not the most common for successful scaling initiative?
It's an excellent question. The reason behind is that, but if we stuck implementing any Agile practice without any appetite to further improve it, then our company will also stop at a level of performance, at least. And then we have to do that, and we have to continuously learn. There is no other way. I think that, and I agree that companies need to continuously improve. Otherwise, we lose the one and only meaning of agile is being able to respond to change, being able to respond to changing needs. And then I don't think there is any industry around the globe where there is no change, where there is no disruption, where there are no new players who we have to fight with. We just have to go that way. And then fortunately in GE Healthcare we can do this. We have to do this because new players are always coming up and popping up, and new technologies are coming, which we have to learn and adopt to. And then an agile gives us the way to try and learn and fail fast as possible. But yes, it requires a leadership team. It requires a support from management that understand this principle and accepts those failures, accept those pivots. And fortunately in GE Healthcare we have that. In other companies I see failing implementations as well, that they started to use agile, they started to use a given framework, and when they reach the level of implementation they just stop that. And then at the end it remained the same, a highly controlled environment where engineers are not really promoted and engineers are not required to look into improvement options. Engineers are not promoted to fail, and then they just kind of spent a lot of money on implementing a new framework, but the mindset didn't change. And that is what I think that in those companies are not working, is that if the mindset remains the same, they just use yet another framework, then their performance will remain at the same level. And even due to the learning curve, it may drop a bit compared to the previous one.
Does something with Czech mentality that if we got some set of rules, we are always a little bit nervous, and we don't believe that it is the right set of rules, and we like to investigate by ourselves. So I think that what we are doing in 2N, we are checking the different methodologies, and we try to modify it and use it for our own good. And as Attila said, we need to learn all the time because the world is changing around us, and so we just need to, it's everything is agile. Just try, measure, and modify and repeat, and so that's what we have to do in all part of our company. And I think that the SAFe framework is just something what can help people to think about the problem, because it's quite nicely visualized. We have the map of framework here in front of us, but I don't think that it is must to implement it with everything what is written there.
One of the critiques that people often do to SAFe is that the teams are involved very late, and the communication and collaboration between the leadership and teams is very limited. So that all the feedback and all the learnings that teams do, because they are the boot on the ground, so all the data that they collect about the clients, the users, the market, what works and what doesn't, is not feedback to the leadership, and the leadership do not get used to plan more incrementally. What is your experience? Have you had any benefit with SAFe at the strategic, business and portfolio level in terms of agility?
In our cases, I already mentioned that location strategy and how the teams, how close the product and portfolio management team to the engineers is very important. And now that as we move the product managers closer to the engineering team, so not only the product owners are at the same locations, but even product managers are at the location of where the engineers are. We see that this involvement is increasing significantly, and the feedback from the teams as they work daily with those product managers and portfolio managers, the feedback can go back. It puts an extra burden on the product management though, because in the past they used to sit at the same location somewhere in a remote site, and it was much easier for them to discuss on strategic directions and product content. But we realized that this change in location strategy really can help us to develop a better product. But I agree that sometime, especially at the beginning, we felt that we got a direction from the top, and we have no voice into that. And then once we started to change the way we work with the product management and the way product management works, we started to see this, and even have retaining talent within the company, frankly, because when our engineers started to feel that their voice count, they stopped looking into options and opportunities in companies outside of GE.
So in 2N, we don't use a SAFe framework for portfolio management. We have actually our own process, which we inherited from our mother company, which is actually Swedish Axis. And because we don't do only the software, our company is doing hardware product. So we have actually the roadmap, which tries to where we try to see the plan for 18 months, and we are doing a review every 6 months of this roadmap. And in the roadmap, we have hardware products and then the initiatives which are in software programs. And those initiatives are coming from the hardware projects, or these initiatives are just software features for the software programs. And I think that these 6-month reviews is something what bringing the agility in the hardware development. Actually, even though we do it in waterfall, I mean the hardware project, we review it every 6 months on the product management and top management level, and we changing the priorities or stopping and let's say helping some project to be faster delivered if we see the need for that.
Now I would like to mention a research, academic research done in Ericsson. They noticed that when the number of people involved in a delivery initiative grow, the time and cost of coordination grow. But they also noticed that the more people is involved, the easier is to take suboptimal technical decisions that then, as a consequence, introduce technical dependencies. And then technical dependencies require a bigger effort of coordination. As you see, this is going worse and worse. More people involved, less technical, less optimal technical decision, more dependencies, more people involved, and these circles spiral out of control. So my question is, what is your experience with the PI planning and agile release? Are those practices helping you, working well for you, or are creating more dependencies and slowing things down?
we faced the same issues that you are listing. So basically, we had a large group of people attending each of the PI planning sessions around the globe. It was like kind of organized in a consecutive manner, being that, let's say, we had the first PI development in PI planning in the US, and then in Europe, and then in Asia, and then there were few people who attended each of them, and it created a times queue first, so we had to wait a lot until the other locations are planning, which created a communication issue between the different teams, because we made a commitment on our plan, assuming some dependencies will be implemented by another team, but they are planning. If they are planning late, then we have to replan after they made decision that affecting us. So that is definitely something that didn't work well. Then we started to realize that also, the more people are there, exactly as you said, it is harder to make the right decision. So what we did basically was that we then changed into a model that each teams are planning at the same 1 or 2 days, basically helping to plan the dependencies easily. There were kind of a single communication person between the two other, kind of a single point of contact, who then exchanged at the end of the day or during the day those questions that needed answers, and that helped a lot. And then it also reduced the amount of people attending at the given location at the release train.
These meetings are quite big and time-consuming. So far we invite all the team members to this meeting, so it's really heavy. What we want to do against it, or how we want to help it, actually defining several levels in every software program. So we have a mothership, consists of architect, analytics, product manager, and project manager, or release train engineer, you call it. And this team is responsible for analyzing and defining every task and preparing the architecture and prioritizing these tasks. Then we have something what we call the executive group, where we have we call tech lead for every feature team. And actually this executive group, we want that they will do the product increment planning and release train planning, and it will be we hope much smaller team, and it will be faster. Actually, this executive group is responsible for defining and solving the dependencies they find and they have. Yeah, that's what we do. And actually, we don't use. Actually, we have actually 5 sprints in every program increment, and actually the last sprint is used for the integration testing, and also the analyzing and preparing for another program increment. So we don't we don't do the planning only in this sprint. We try to do the analyzing and planning all the way in a parallel during the development, so that we would like to be prepared, and we would like to have the tasks analyzed for like one product increment ahead.
I would like to add a comment that is congruent with some of the things that you said, and it is the attention to technical excellence and simplicity in order to remove existing dependencies, especially the ones that are not essential, and to relax the remaining dependencies so that the coordination effort is reduced. And many excellent agile organizations do this relentlessly. The second comment is about the value of coming together, business and technical and product people, and plan the work to do. The part where PI is wasteful is that it brings everything together. It's more common in agile organization to let the teams organically identify the other teams that need to be part of the same planning session based on the actual dependencies in place. So again, two things. One, from a technical point of view, put the maximum effort to reduce and remove dependencies. And two, let the teams identify the existing dependencies and do planning only with people needed. So we still have the benefit of the communication that you mentioned and collaboration without wasteful, gigantic PI planning. The only thing that is left is give everyone the opportunity, if you feel that there is some closing word that you would like to say to close this session.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to everybody that spent their evening in this discussion. It was very interesting.
It was really interesting also for me. So thank you, and thank you, Michael, for all the effort of organizing this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.